People, I found the OG of Canadian immigration. Yes, Helen is the OG, to be honest. Like, she started talking about Canadian immigration or thinking of moving to Canada in 1998. Yeah. And back then, it used to take 6 years. So she started thinking about it in 1998. She finally saved up money and applied in 2003. Canada sent her, asked for her passport in 2009. I think she moved 2010. She moved 2010 with her family, came back to Nigeria, moved back finally in 2011. But I'm like, yo, 1998. Like, do you know? She's the OG. To be honest, she's the OG. I mean, there's also another story I think you should listen, where she talks about how she used Yahoo Answers to find someone to help them out when they were looking to move. Yahoo Answers. Who still remembers Yahoo Answers? But enjoy. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Really excited to do this with you, to be honest. I just kind of want to get straight into it and ask, when you moved 14 years ago, what were you thinking? Like, honestly, what were you thinking? Did you come to school, or did you just I want to move? Like, what were you thinking?
Interesting. So 14 years ago is when we moved, but the plan to move started 6 years before the 14 years that we moved. So we had worked with a Canadian company in Nigeria, and it was that company in 1998. While working with the Canadian company, they now mentioned that, do you know you can actually immigrate to Canada then? But Canada was not the thing. Immigrating abroad was not the thing that we were thinking about, but it was those Canadian people that were working in oil and gas that now mentioned that there was an immigration path that we could actually take legally to immigrate to Canada. So we said, that would be nice for us to try that. And so in 2003, so we got close to them in 1998, 99, 2000, and they went back. In 2000, the company finished their project and went back. And so we heard about the immigration, and all the requirements was settlement fees, the years of experience. They have this point system that was in place then. And so, but the settlement fee was a lot of money, so we had to save and get everything, and now sent in our application in 2003. So then the process used to take almost 6 years in the system. So you just put in your application and say, might work, might not work, we might be interested, we might not be interested. So we just continued our lives. And in 2009, that's when they now said, bring your passports.
What?
We're like, this thing is true. Okay. So we now went and did medicals. Then we had our son, went and did the medicals, sent it. That was 2009. Put in the documents, sent in our passports, and they now stamped the passport. It looked like a joke. Like, really, this thing worked. So that was it.
6 years.
Yes, 6 years. You submit your application, you just go to bed, just be doing your thing. Some of your friends will say, are you sure when that thing works, you're going to go? And we said, yeah, we will see. And so 2009 was when we got the visa and waited to 2010, February. That's when we now traveled to take out for our landing.
Yeah.
And so the strategy we had then was that I still had my job. My husband resigned from his job. So we came together, got our landing, had our second child, my daughter, I came in February, had her in March, stayed March, April, May. So I went back to Nigeria while my husband stayed to get settled, get all driving, get
Yeah.
certification, got a job. So I returned in 2011 August. So I left in May, put my baby back to Nigeria, continued my work in Nigeria. And after I found that he has settled, he got a good job, that we could get a house.
Yeah.
That's in August of 2011. I now resigned from my work in Nigeria and came back to Canada. So that was our strategy. But one good thing that happened is that when we were now knowing that this thing might be true, we started making friends with people in Canada. And how did we do it? There used to be a Yahoo Answers then, where you would go online and start asking questions to say, where is a good place
Yahoo
for me?
Answers.
You remember? Do you know what it is? Yes, that was something. Did you ever use that?
No, like I wouldn't like it is. Gosh, like
You've never, oh my, Yahoo Answers was a very popular thing then, maybe for me, because internet was not the very things that people just go to. So
yeah,
by reason of the fact that I was working with Canadians in 1998, I had access to the internet. I knew where to find things on the internet. So I was already used to it. So I used to go to Yahoo Answers because the Canadians had said, when you come, you could stay with us for a month in Calgary. Those people I was working with. But when it was getting close to the time, the lady now said, I'm no longer living in Calgary. I've moved to the Bahamas or something.
oh
So we
wow,
now had to start searching. Where are we going to settle in Canada? Where would be a good place? So online, you go to Yahoo. Where is a good place to settle in Canada? And as at that time, it was the oil boom where they were looking for people in Fort Mac and
yeah,
Alberta was booming, that we were thinking we were going to be coming around 2006, 2007. There was an oil boom then, but we didn't know when is this going to happen. So it ended up happening in 2009 and we're coming 2010. So we're asking questions on Yahoo Answers, and somebody now will ask you, say, "Oh, this is oil. Fort Mac is looking for job. Edmonton is a good place. It's increased diversity." So that's how we're going. So along the line, we now met people. Some people will say, "Oh, just go away. We don't need immigrants. We're too many." While there's some people that will give you good answers. So those people that give us good answers, we said, "Are you fine if we keep in contact with you and keep sending you emails?" Some of them said yes. So we started making friends with people on the internet. So one of the people that we met on the internet was somebody living in St. Albert. And so we kept in touch with her from 2006. And we kept showing her our pictures. So in the morning in Nigeria, we chat with her, which is evening in Canada, in St. Albert.
yeah,
So she knew that we were responsible people, we were people that were working, we're busy with our lives. We're not Yahoo people, we're not
yeah,
fraudsters, we're good people. So we just kept on. And so when we were coming, that friend was the one that bought us our winter coats. She trusted us. She used her money, bought us winter coats, socks, all the things we needed, came to the airport with flowers and met us and took us to her house. That person we met on the internet. And so her house was in St. Albert. Our brain was not thinking about St. Albert. We're thinking Edmonton, that's where we're going to. So basically, this angel that we met on the internet was the one that took us to St. Albert. And that's how we started living in St. Albert, because people wonder, of all places, why should you go live in St. Albert, a predominantly white community? So that is how it happened that we now stayed with this lady, and she was the one when I was having my baby. She took me to Sturgeon Hospital in St. Albert. So we stayed with her. And
that's
so
amazing.
we navigated immigration. It was not stressful for us because of that person. because it was a white lady. She had a family,
Damn.
She was a single parent. So she took us in, you understand, and helped us with going downtown to get all the health card, getting our SIN number, all those things, and showing us where to go. And my husband is a safety professional. She was the one that had researched where to go and get that initial safety designation that he needed. The 1 week he did, as soon as we came, it's just like the next week or so, he did a safety professional. He did driving. So within 1 month, he got his learners and passed his driving test. He got his first safety designation after the training, and within 2 months or so, he got a temporary job. So that was our settlement. So this person we met online made life until today. She's like family. My kids know that is their Canadian auntie.
I was about to ask about her. Like,
Yeah,
where is she?
she's still my, like 2 days ago. I spoke with her on the phone for like almost 2 hours. She's my sister.
She is, honestly, like,
my
because
sister
like she is a sister. Like she's an angel. Because like, so she didn't know you from anywhere.
online.
All just chatting on Yahoo Answers for 6 years.
Yes, yeah, from Yahoo Answers, exactly. From Yahoo Answers, we started chatting on Messenger. Messenger.
Yeah, I know. I use
Yeah,
Yahoo
yeah,
Messenger. Yeah, I use Yahoo
yes,
Messenger.
yes, yeah. That's Yahoo Messenger. We always talk together. So she knew
Gosh.
that I was just a genuine person working, and we're just planning. Yes, so that is my story. So she made settling in Canada a breeze for us. When I had my baby, she took my son home, stayed with my son. When she was going to work the next morning, she brought my son to the hospital. In the evening, she just took us all home.
Please
So,
tell her that someone said that she's an angel. She's amazing. And when
yes,
this
I
episode
was.
comes out, please send it to her and tell her that I said to her that she is a blessed person on earth. Like,
She
she
is.
is amazing. Gosh, like,
Yeah, she.
because you know why I'm even tripped about it is that this is what I'm about to now. I'll ask a question as a follow up. Things were so different back then from what it is right now. And
Exactly.
like, it was entirely different, and which is why I say to people that you can look at the bad side and look at the good side. Just also understand that there are bad people and there are good people. There are people who will be racist to you, and there are people who will love you for who you are. Find those people and just accept them as your community. Don't judge everyone and say, hey, everyone is X. Like, I feel like that's the wrong way to go about things. And following on that, my question basically is, what was the change like for you, like moving from Nigeria, where you are Helen, Nigerian, to where you are now Helen, Black, at that time?
I think because I had worked with Caucasians in Nigeria,
Yeah.
it was just like normal thing, because I was used to working with Caucasians back in Nigeria. And
Yeah.
so I didn't really feel any different. It just felt like I just continued, because in Nigeria, I was not living in my village. I was living in Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
Port Harcourt has people from different
Oh
parts of
yeah. Oh yeah.
Nigeria.
Port Harcourt is
Port
like that.
Harcourt
Yeah.
has also have not so big, the oil and gas industry that brings expatriates to Nigeria.
Yes.
So the only thing I would have said I miss was, in Nigeria you have house helps. Yes, you have live-in house help that help you everything. But here you just have to do everything by yourself. You're getting up, get your kids ready. It's just you by yourself. That was the only thing I miss. And you can easily just walk to someone's house and just visit to somebody. Here you have
Yeah.
to plan it, and you don't even have the time, because it was almost like, by the time I came back in 2011, it was like one school program trying to settle. That's all I was doing in my life, trying to
Yeah.
settle. Yes, so to me, it was no different. Yeah, by the time I came back, we lived with her for like 3 months. Then I left. My husband kept on
Gosh,
staying in her house. And so by the time I was coming back in 2011, we now got our own apartment.
she's
Yeah, she
amazing.
helped us move things
God,
and we started our life in 2011 as a family. You know, we have stayed away for a long time. That was our settlement strategy. Yeah, we had our strategy. Yeah, but it was just the same. To me, I just felt the same because I've always lived with people that were not particularly from my tribe. Because I'm
yeah,
from Akwa Ibom and I'm
yeah,
married to Edo State and I lived in Port Harcourt.
yeah. That's
So
like a tripartite of different things. Yeah.
exactly. And I went to a federal government college where
Aha.
I had lots of friends from the north, south, east, and west. I connected. So being abroad was just like, it's my normal life. It's just that now I'm more around Caucasians.
Okay. So I hear you when you say that, and I agree with that. But I'm going to ask you, like, when was the first time that it hit you that you weren't home?
The first time it hit me that I wasn't home.
Yeah, home being Nigeria, because yeah, like, I mean, yes, you're used to living with the Caucasians and all that, but the point is that you got up, put your life into 2 suitcases with your husband and your little baby, and you moved away from your mom or dad or brothers or sisters. I mean, because back in Nigeria, you could easily just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, mom, how are you doing?" Or you could take a 2-hour drive to probably go see your parents. Because if you live in Port Harcourt to Akwa Ibom, it's not that far. It's not a very long drive. So, like, what was the first time they hit you that okay, I'm enjoying this place, but I'm not exactly home?
Do you know the funny thing? That's never hit me.
Are you
The reason
serious?
is that, yeah, that's the reason is that I actually my mom died as when I was a child and I have a stepmom. Yes, I have a stepmom and I have my dad. And I've always been far from a place called that is supposed to be called my home. I've always been like, um, yes, when immediately I went to secondary school, I was in a boarding house. So just look at it like from when I was 12 years till when I was almost 18, I was always out from the house. So we only come holiday and go back to school boarding house. And so as soon as I finish SS3, I went straight to Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt was where I was born and my aunts were there. So I was never in a place that I would say, oh, this is my home. I just want to stay at home. That's just my own history. I never had that place. I was like, oh, this is my home. I just want to stay here. No, I don't have that connection to a place called home. So home for me is where I have loved ones that love me. So that strong connection to Nigeria, like, oh, my home. Some people feel homesick because they have a mom and a dad, they have a family house that they always went to. I didn't have, I have the house in Eket, which is a village for me, you understand, but I wasn't born there. And I was always used to the urban area, but unfortunately, my parents moved from Port Harcourt back to the village. So I'm just someone that was used to an urban area as my house, but never continued that way. So I was moved from the urban area where I was born and used to a village where I'm not used to. So I never got attached to that place to say, oh, home, this is where. So people that feel homesick, I understand it, but I never had that connection to a place that I would say, oh, I'm feeling homesick. No, it was always like I'm staying with my aunts in Port Harcourt. I got married, got our house. So it's just like you're constantly moving. You understand? So relatively, by the time we now bought our house in 2012 and living. if people don't believe that, I feel more at home in St. Albert than even in Nigeria.
It makes sense, actually.
I'm telling you, I know my neighbors. My neighbors know me. People know me in my city. They're like, if you go somewhere, say, you don't know Helen. Helen, that. So it just feels like this is my village. I'm
Yes.
not kidding you.
Yes.
People in my village in Eket might not even know me, except for my family. But here in this little city of St. Albert, people, I go anywhere, they're like, oh, you know Helen. So I feel like this is a village more to me. This
Mm-hmm.
feels like home to me, than where I was born.
Yeah.
So
It actually makes absolute sense because I like there's just a couple of the dynamics of how you are raised and then moving across
exactly.
places, and then
Mhm.
finally you find somewhere we build with your loved ones, and then that becomes home for you because that
Exactly.
basically is like, oh, this is home, that sort of
Exactly.
thing.
My dad, I was going to visit my dad in 2015. I chatted with him on the Saturday night, which was Sunday morning in Nigeria. When I woke up, went to church, planned to travel that evening in the morning. My dad had an accident in front of his house in Eket and
Gosh.
died. I still went to Nigeria, but I ended up not seeing my dad. So my dad passing just like closes that route for me.
Yeah.
And so that was the main thing that would have taken me to Nigeria, wanting me to visit Eket.
Yeah.
My dad is my connection to that place, and
Sorry
he's
about your
gone.
dad.
Exactly. Thank you. So, and my husband's dad and mom has also passed on. So for us, this is
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
People get connected when their parents are alive and they have a family home where they can go to. But for people like us, it's no, that here is now our home that we're building home here.
Yeah. 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 So true.
Yeah, yeah. So that is my little story.
you know, I have probably three more questions for you and then we'll round up. But the first one is basically around like moving in 2010, 2011, and Canada now, Canada then and Canada now, idea, what are the biggest differences you think, especially as an immigrant, the biggest differences for people who come in now and the things they experience versus people who came in then and the things they would have experienced?
I believe now there are more support systems in place. There are lots of awareness. So long as you are searching, there's a lot of immigrant serving organizations. There are lots of Black communities, either women, men, a lot. And with COVID and George Floyd, there was that awareness of racism. So
Yeah.
even if there are people that discriminate, it's so hidden. You understand? So you not even see it because there's that awareness of racism and discrimination. So that now people are very careful, right,
Yeah.
on how to discriminate. So, and lots of things are out there online. So, if you're searching in your community, for instance, Edmonton has Edmonton Greatest Nigerians. It's a big group of people that immigrated within the past 6 to 7 years. They formed this community. So if you're coming in, they said they have the group of those that are waiting for PR. PR time now is now shorter.
Yeah.
They are very specific on what they're looking for. Then when we did ours, it looks like whosoever will may come. All you needed to have is a first degree. Yes, that's how it was. Now, when I tell people that when we did ours, it was so long as you have a first degree, you will have, is that like 15 points? If you have a master's, you have 20 points. If you have 4 years working experience in anything, you'll be able to see your code on the NOC national
Yeah.
occupational code, you have your points. If you could speak English and you just write it, you just type in that thing. You didn't need to take that this what
IELTS, the
they
IELTS.
no, you don't need to. You just type it in. My primary school, my secondary school is in English. I've been working in English. You just type it in, they will accept it. I did Alliance Française 2 years. I have diploma de langue française. You just write it that I've done this one, so they'll rate you excellent in English. Then French was maybe basic. You got your points in.
Interesting.
It was just so easy. But now things have changed. You understand? The immigration process has changed.
Yeah, it has.
There's a lot of awareness. There are lots of immigration consultants now, maybe charging an exorbitant fee. It's now a regulated profession. People can easily get lots of information about settlement on the internet so long as you search it. You can get help. You can find on either Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace, you could see somebody that's willing to share room space, people renting, stuff like that. Different support systems that are available now. That's what I think. There are lots of information out there that you could get in terms of where you could stay, your community, connecting with community, lots of churches, so many services. That's how I think things have really improved for immigrants.
Yeah. Yeah, the support system now is mad. And I think the other part to even add is that aside from just the support system in terms of all the programs and consultants and people, I think for me the biggest part is just that community where if you come in, it's easier to find your people now that can just kind of help you or at least guide you or tell you do it like this, do it like that. Because now also the distrust on the internet is worse right now because like you can't chatting someone up on the Yahoo Answers of today and saying, "Hey, I'm coming to Canada today. Can you help me?" Like it's almost impossible to do that now. So just that community itself, like I love that does exist.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
So
For
I want to
sure.
segue into something that people talk about a lot or they try to skirt around, which is basically parenting. And I just want to ask, like, because you've been here 14 years, that means your son is 16, he was 2 when you all left, your daughter was born here. Just curious, like, how have you managed the transition? So from the Nigerian parenting style to the Canadian parenting style, what have you kept? What have you kept from your Nigerian parenting style? What have you adopted from the Canadian parenting style? Or was it discard one and take the other? Like how did you approach it?
Parenting styles. We are deeply religious people that go to church, and so our conduct and how we bring our children also follows that of praying for your children, taking them to church and also talking to them about being good citizens, because some of our religious guidelines are things that you need as a person living in a place, respecting people, respecting your elders, your parents, respecting your parents, and respecting your teachers. And so it is the same way, but it's just that in Nigeria here, we're prone to shouting on children and wanting to punish children in a certain way. But here now, because I became deeply involved in learning how they bring up children. How do you discipline children here? How do you give them instructions here? Because my kids were young. And so those are things I learned by going to a parenting class. And so you kind of learn that sometimes if you want to give a kid instructions, you just keep on that instruction. You sound like a broken radio. You just say, please take your plates away. Oh, no. Please take your plates away. Please take your plates away. That's part of what we learned at the
Parenting
what
class.
they call a parenting class. And if instead of you spanking a child, you could just tell the child to just go sit down in the corner quietly. Funny enough, those things drives them nuts.
Yeah.
You understand? But we were so used to in Nigeria, you have to like use your hand and spank. So those are the kind of things I learned. And my kids also went to daycare. Yes, from 2011, they went to daycare for almost 8 years. So I had to work, right? So the few times they were in the house, it's just giving them instruction based on what you've learned. So in Nigeria, you spank kids, or but here you don't need to spank kids. You just talk to them, and they are in that stage of their life where they also are setting themselves and who they are. And some of the ways is either you take their phones away or you put off the internet and say, no, you're not going to have the internet. So it's a different way of disciplining a child, different from what we learned back home. Because if you go to the extreme, you end up losing your child, and you don't want to lose your child.
Yeah.
You want your child to be connected to you. So we are parents that pray. So we pray over our kids and we make them know we're praying for them. We sit them down and talk to them so that if a child is being difficult, you talk to them. Let them understand why you are wanting them to do things this way. So it's a lot of communicating with kids these days, not like back home. They just give you instruction. How dare you not follow the instruction? But these days is a negotiation. You're negotiating with your kids. You are more or less communicating with them, telling them this is why you should do this. This is, telling the consequences of not following this. This is what might happen. So there's a lot of negotiation and talking and praising when you do, oh my goodness, you're such a good kid. Woo. Because it's what we're learning from the culture. But
Yeah.
what we brought from our own, being firm in what you want them to do. But we're adding the Canadian by explaining why you should
Yeah.
do it that way. So, and you don't go about screaming on children. Yeah. We're so used to it. My daughter that is 14 said, you're screaming. She just tell you calm down. You're screaming. You, if it's back, you're like, who are you to tell me I'm screaming? They just tell you, you're screaming. You don't need to shout when you tell me. You want me to wash dishes? Yeah, I'm gonna. You don't. She'll just tell you, you don't need to scream. So you yourself will be embarrassed. She said, you don't need to scream. No. So gently. And so now that they've grown older, we pick our fights. What do you want to fight about? Some things you just like, what? This is not worth it. Just
Yeah.
calm down. So yes, so that's the different parenting styles, the
Yeah.
Canadian way.
Yeah. I'm taking the
Mhm.
lessons. I have 2 kids, but my first kid is 7. My second is 2. Still pretty growing, still very dependent on us and all that stuff. But I feel like with the first one, he's getting to that stage where he's starting to assert himself, starting to demand
Mhm.
his own rights, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then you start to
Mhm.
say, okay, you know what, you need to manage the kid and make sure one is that you treat him with respect, but you're also firm with, hey, you
Mhm.
shouldn't. These are the things that you won't take.
Exactly.
I think the last question I have for you to round up is, in your experience so far, because I know you run a community for Africans and African people of African
Descendants.
descendants. Like, what are the things you see immigrants get wrong or struggle with when they just come into Canada?
Hmm. One thing I think they struggle with is being a part of the community they find themselves. You find that the Nigerians will look for a Nigerian church, the Cameroonians will look for a Cameroonian church, and they just sometimes they look for their people or to just stay by themselves. I find that is something that makes them, because for instance, I find out that because as I came, I connected with my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I always have family where my family, they looked out for me. So when I was looking for a job with the city, the mom of my friend helped send my resume in. I network with a particular organization for administrative assistants. They
Mm-hmm.
were all Caucasians there. I started looking for community, not just black community, community of the profession. So the people I met in that circle were one of those they were already working with the city. And as I connected with them, when there was an opportunity, they were the ones that helped me then to put in my resume. So one of the things that I think we struggle is integrating into the general community. We like being in our
Community.
African selves. And so it doesn't give us that opportunity to be fully integrated into the society so that
Yeah.
we are here, but we're not here.
Mm.
And so that is the reason why in 2019, after I've been here from that 2010, so that means almost 9 years, I now find out that over the years, anytime I see someone of African descent in St. Albert, because it was not common, I always took their number. Like, hello, do you live here? Oh, I live here too. Do you mind I exchange my number with you? Some people say yes, some people like, no. So when in 2019 I felt like forming a community, I started reaching out to those people that I've known to say, hey, I want to form an African descent community here in St. Albert. Would you like to join? Some people say yes. And from that 2019, I became more conscious of seeing people of African descent, telling them about the community. And we had our first event in August of 2019.
Interesting.
We had an evening in the park, a potluck. People came, we invited the mayor, we invited our MP and a councillor. They were like, do you all of you live here? We said, yes, we live here. They said, but we don't see you. Exactly. We said, we don't see you. So I now said, when you make an event around us, you will see us. And so part of the objective of our community is for us to preserve and promote our cultures here in St. Albert through different events, and that we do. That's part of how we are trying to promote our culture and preserve it, because we find out that the first generation, when they come, if you don't actively do something, you're going to lose
Yes.
all that
Yes.
cultural accent. After some time, your kids
Yes.
will not want to wear your clothes. They will not even want to eat your food. But if you preserve the culture in your city, they will know, oh, like we are planning that summer camp this year, we're going to have an African cooking class. So that we're teaching people how to cook the foods from our different communities. We register, we record it and say, this is how to make this food. So in years to come, we know that we are preserving that culture in our city, right? We have a YouTube channel where some of our cooking classes, we put them there. So what I'm trying to say is that our people don't integrate so well. And so over the years, what I found out that when I go for events, it's my family alone that is in that space in St. Albert. Go for rodeo parade, we've only found ourselves. So now what I find, some of them, because they are just by themselves, they don't know what's even happening in this St. Albert. So now we have a community. If like tomorrow is a rodeo parade, I'll tell them there's rodeo parade in St. Albert. The rodeo, this is the rodeo route that is going to be going. Please get you understand, get your family. And so we as a community now for the past 3 years have been on the rodeo parade so that people will see that there are black people in St. Albert. Because if we don't go out, exactly, because the rodeo is a way of us showcasing ourselves in the community.
Exactly.
Because the rodeo is like a big community event that people come out for. You understand? So we participate in the rodeo parade. 2 weeks ago, the food bank was doing a food bank fundraiser. We participate and we say, everybody, we are going to be in this store. You come and see us. We're Africans in St. Albert. So now consciously putting ourselves out in the community so that the community knows that we are here. This is our home, just like it's your home. This is our own village. You understand? This is our home. So you see how we're creating community. We still a struggle because our people
Yeah.
are not used to volunteering.
No, we're not.
Used
We
to
don't.
it.
We don't. We. It's not. It's not a thing. It's not a thing back home. It's not a thing.
Yes, it's not a thing. The only volunteering we used to do is just church. People are willing to go to their church and spend hours, right? Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, all the things we do in church are just volunteering. So that's some of the things I found out that Africans only volunteer in their church. They're willing to get up in the morning and go sweep the church on Saturday morning. They'll go for choir practice during the week and they're doing that. But in their community, they really do things in the community. And so there's a lot of things we could do in our community. So those are some of the things that I find. And so I'm trying to, incorporate it. It's a struggle. It's a lot of work because when you're running an organization, you know that this is not a strong culture amongst us, and you're trying to say, hey, come, let's participate in community. It's a struggle. It's a big struggle. So those are the things that we just keep to ourselves. Just go to our African church and stay amongst our people. The Ghanaians stay among the Ghanaians, integrating into the society because there are different clubs, there's Rotary, there's Lions, there's this. You really see our people in those things. But back in Nigeria, it's later that I know I've heard about the Lions Club, the Rotary Club. I never thought about things as something I should do, right? Now, but here am I'm a Lions Club member. My husband is in Rotary Club. So we're participating because we are now having that clearer vision of how to participate in the community that you belong to. That's an important thing. That's where you integrate. But if you do not volunteer, you just stay in yourself. At the end of the day, your kids will be those kids that they just want to be amongst Africans. You understand? Although they go to school, they connect, but we have to model it to them that it's okay to participate in community, go volunteer. It shouldn't only be in volunteering in church because you go for choir practice. We try to get our kids to join choir practice, go and sing and present in church. How about getting them to do something in the community that they also like? So
kudos to you, to be honest. Like, kudos to you. I mean, I call that the community paradox. Just in the sense that you need to find your community of people that you know, because it helps you to kind of settle in so that you don't code switch too much. But you also need to find a community that is broader than your niche community, because that helps you a more rounded individual, because if you don't do that, then you keep complaining that the country is not exactly welcoming to you. The problem is just that you're not fully integrated into the society. But
exactly. Yeah, you're very correct. If you're not integrated, you just stay amongst you people. You're not volunteering. Like for me, for the past 7 years, I help on my street to organize block parties. And when we came 12 years ago, I was the only Black person on my block. But I didn't really see it like, so no. I took it upon myself to help organize a block party. So they know me as, the block party lady. Yeah. Organizing another one. I go door to door. Hey, are you coming for the block party? Put up signs, all this kind of thing. So it's just the way, to know your neighbors. That's why I tell people that I feel so blessed because my neighbors know me and I know them. It's just like home. I could walk on the streets. I'm telling you, it's not like if I'm salt, I don't have salt or pepper. I could walk to my neighbor. I'm like, please, do you have SSI? I just found out my, so that's how
close.
You understand? So that's how it feels for me. It feels like home. So when I'm telling you that I feel as if I'm at home here in Senegal, but it's true. It's like home to me. Yeah. So I try to preach volunteerism to everyone. Try and volunteer.
Thank you so much.
You're
this
welcome.
has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dozier.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. If you know someone that will find it interesting, please send to them. If you know someone we should talk to, please send them my way. You don't need to do anything, just send them my way. I'll reach out to them myself. But again, as always, please follow us on Substack, like, share, and if you have any feedback for us, please hit the reply button and say, hey, I want this or I want that, and we'll think about it. Have a beautiful day.